Welcome to Ayurveda and Spirituality with your host, Alakananda Ma, a renowned Ayurvedic expert and a graduate of a top London medical school. She is the principal of Alundi Ayurveda Gurukula, a unique apprenticeship-style school in Boulder, Colorado. She is a spiritual mother, teacher, flower essence maker, and storyteller. Join us as we uncover the timeless principles of Ayurveda, discover practical tips for enhancing vitality, and explore the deeper dimensions of spirituality that intertwine with the ancient science of life.
So, welcome everyone. Welcome to Satsang. Satsang is a meeting of hearts, a gathering of friends to inquire into the truth. Before we begin looking into Kena Upanishad, by whom? Let's just do a little bit refreshers of some of the most important teachings from Katha and then Isha Upanishad, starting with one of the top teachings of death to Nachiketas. All you need is Om. All you need is Om. All you need is Om. Om. Om is all you need. Nothing you can know that isn't known. Oh, nothing you can see that isn't shown. Oh, nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is Om. All you need is Om. All you need is Om. Om. Om is all you need. That was, in fact, one of the very, very important teachings that death gave to Nachiketas, the teaching of Om. I also wanted to do a little refresher on the Mahavakyas, or the great sayings. We haven't yet come to any of the big four of the great sayings. Tattvamasi Aham Brahmasmi, Prajnanam Brahma, and I am Atma Brahma. But we have come to a couple of my absolute favorites, the should I say less Mahavakyas. We have in the Isha Upanishad, we had that radiant being in yonder sun, Soham Asmi. That radiant being in yonder sun, I am that. I remember. Soham, Soham, you and I are one. 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 So that was actually one of the Mahavakyas, which we came to as the absolute climax of our beautiful, pithy, and wonderful Isha Upanishad. Always the first Upanishad that is taught to students, not just to Alandi students, to all students for thousands of years. But we also did run into a Mahavakya in Katha Upanishad, Etad Vai Tat. This verily is that. So we were reading that. This indeed, Etad Vai, little emphasis. This, Etad, Tat, that. That word Tat has come to mean Brahman. The that the ground of being. Vai is like, yep, yes, often translated verily or indeed. So we had read this in Kata Upanishad from book 5. Actually, it starts with book 4. But this is that. Really started with book 4. We talked about the self-born one who had bored the holes looking outwards. The one who knows this eater of honey as life, the self, close by, Lord of past and future, does not shrink away from it. Etad vai tat. He who was formerly the offspring of Tapas, who was formerly born of the waters, he who having entered and dwelt in the secret place looks out through beings, etad vai tat. She who rises through the breath, a deity made of deities, she who, having entered and dwelt in the secret place, was born through beings, etad vai tat. That from which the sun rises and into which it sets, in that the gods are fixed. The gods being the beings that rule over everything. They're gods, but they're not God, God. Only Tat is God, God, the ultimate. That from which the sun rises and into which it sets. In that the gods are fixed. No one goes beyond it. Etad vai tat. This verily is that. So just a little bit of revision because we've covered, well, all the Upanishads are important and I guess they're all my favorite, but sometimes I think that Kata is my favorite or Isha. And I always have such happy memories of studying these things with Dombi Griffith and Shantivanam decades ago. Wasadananda and I first met, so it's a place of most blessed memory and hearing Bede Griffiths talk about these things. So if you like to follow along, they don't seem to have page numbers. That's at the top. Well, it's got to be 262, I think, at least in my volume. As we look at Kena Upanishad, Kena, by whom? And the invocation says, Om, may my limbs, speech, breath, eye, ear, strength, and all senses grow strong. Everything is the Brahman of the Upanishads. May I not reject Brahman, and may Brahman not reject me. May there be no rejecting. May there be no rejecting of me. May all the dharmas which are in the Upanishads be in me who delight in the self. May they be in me. Om. Shanti. 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 So in book 1, the first verse is the verse by which this Upanishad gets its name. Kena, by whom? Om. Urged on by whom does the mind fly? Harnessed by whom does the breath move the first? By whom is urged the speech that men utter? And which God harnesses the eye and the ear? So this verse really epitomizes the axial age that we have talked about in some of our other satsangs, the age when we made the greatest discovery, that we have an interior, and in that we discovered that the microcosm and the macrocosm are the same, that we are a hologram of the whole, that everything you see in the universe, the sun, the wind, the moon, the fire, everything you see outside you, you have that within you. All the gods that are ruling the world are your own faculties. Urged on by whom does the mind fly? Harnessed by whom does breath move the first? They never heard of the autonomic nervous system, and they had a very interesting inquiry. What makes you breathe? You keep on breathing as long as you're alive. By whom is urged on the speech that folk utter, and which God harnesses the eye and the ear? He is the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind, the speech of speech, and the breath of the breath. The eye of the eye, E-Y-E-I. Not I-N-I, but the eye of the eye. Knowing this, the wise renounce, and when they leave this world, become immortal. Kena Upanishad is full of the deepest questions, the most probing questions, the questions that small children ask. Like when Sadananda made the song as a kid, what lies over the graveyard, which was the essence of Katha Upanishad. And like when I asked my dad, how do I know I'm awake? How do I know I'm not dreaming right now? And Dad said, well, you can pinch yourself. But that didn't answer my question. I was thinking I could still be a baby in the cradle. And the whole life I'd had up till now, I could be dreaming, and I could be dreaming. Dad telling me, if you pinch yourself, you're awake. Because the innocent mind, the innocently inquiring mind of the child brings up these profound questions like they bring here in Kena Upanishad. The eye does not go there. Speech does not go, nor mind. We do not know, we do not understand how anyone could teach it. This is like the huge question. How can we teach that which the eye cannot see, which speech cannot describe, and which mind cannot understand? We do not know, we do not understand. How can anyone teach it? It is different from the known, but it is different too from the unknown. So we have heard from those of old who have revealed it to us. This is the perennialism. It's a type of philosophy that sees that wisdom comes from long ago. And I was a few years ago, I was having an email dialogue with a British professor in Denmark, and we were talking about some of these things. And I realized, wow, I'm a perennialist It's like a thing to be. And why am I a perennialist? Because I read in the Upanishads, which were written a very long time ago, that we have heard this from people who lived a very long time ago. This is the meaning of perennial wisdom. It is different from the known. It is different too from the unknown. So we have heard from those of old who have revealed it to us. Can we talk about it? What is not expressed by speech, by which speech is expressed, know that as Brahman, not what they worship as such. This is going to be another really important point in this first part of Kena Upanishad. Don't get in a rut. Don't get in a groove. Yeah, Brahman. Blah, 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 blah. Let's worship Brahman. Blah, blah, blah. No, keep that strong inquiring mind. We can't say it. That to a teacher, this is very frustrating. I can't say you Brahman. I can't tell you Brahman. I can't describe Brahman to you. I come from Brahman. That's why I can't describe Brahman to you, but it is only through Brahman that I am talking to you. What is not expressed by speech, by which speech is expressed, know that as Brahman, and not what they worship as such. What one does not think of by the mind, by which, so they say, the mind is thought of, know that as Brahman, not what they worship as such. This is always the baffling thing to the mystic. The baffling thing that it's this edge that you encounter as you delve deeper into meditation, and especially with Sarananda, when you come to the part where you learn the teachings of Ramana Maharshi, you're really exploring this exact edge that is being talked about here. When you're sitting for a long time and you're sitting deeply, you come to this place by which you realize that you are being thought. You are not the thinker. You are being thought. It's a very exactly what this verse says. In the lineage of Sureshwar, which we're trying to follow, the practical implementation of the Upanishads, we explore that exact place where you realize there is something that makes your mind think. When the mind, they can say also the mind turns back on itself. What one does not think of by the mind, because you can't, any Brahman you can think of, like they say, it's not Brahman. The God you can think of, the God you can imagine, the God you can talk about, the Brahman you can think of, imagine, talk about, describe, that's not it. That's a concept. But you're going back to the place from which the capacity to even have a concept arises. Back, back, back. Know that as Brahman, not what they worship as such. What one does not see by the eye, by which some translate, by which the eye sees, this translator has, by which one sees eyes. You can't see Brahman, but without Brahman, you would not be able to see anything. know that as Brahman and not what they worship as such. What one does not hear by the ear, by which the ear is heard, know that as Brahman, not what they worship as such. What one does not breathe by the breath, by which breath breathes, know that as Brahman, not what they worship as such. So that's why the breath is the beginning and the end, the first step and the last step of the practice of meditation. We've just been beginning, those of us that are the new ones, we've just been beginning to see if we can pay a little bit of attention to our breath, get a little bit of concentration using the breath as an object, just so we can start learning how to have a little concentration and be able to pay attention to things. But however far we progress in developing all the steps of the meditation practice, it comes down to this. You come back to this edge, you come back to the gap. Like how we practice when we read the pulse, resting in the gap to feel the pulse. When we rest in the gap, we have a teeny weeny bit of contact with that by which the breath is breathed. A teeny tiny opening to that by which the breath is breathed. The swinging door in Zen mind, beginner's mind, he talks about the breath as a swinging door. And you get to the point where nobody's breathing, the breath is just a swinging door. This is what he does talk about there. What one does not breathe by the breath, by which the breath is breathed, know that as Brahman, not what they worship as such. And we go on to book 2. If you think, I know it well, you know just a little the form of Brahman, that part which is you, and that part which is among the gods. I think you should investigate that unknown. Very much keeping the same theme. It really, this does remind me a lot of Zen mind, beginner's mind, because Kena Upanishad is beginner mind. Fresh, everything's fresh. Get out of the rut, get out of the rah, get out of the, I don't know what it is called, it, get out of that, be fresh, be awake, inquire. You really think you know Brahman? Think again. If you think I know it well, you know just a little the form of Brahman. You know you're a bit of it. And the bit that's among the gods who you can worship, and we can have some kind of familiarity with Ganesh or Lakshmi or Durga. But look deeper and investigate what you don't know. I do not think I know it well. And I do not know, I don't know it. Whoever of us knows it, and does not know, I don't know it. So we're trying to stay away from the two extremes. So in the Madhyamaka philosophy, in Buddhism, we want to avoid the extremes of eternalism and nihilism. So the eternalism extreme is when we think, I know it. We've solidified something, which is really our bit, and we think we know it. And the nihilism extreme can really be an intense form of laziness. Well, we can just say, I don't know, which is a cop out. Saying, I don't know, nobody knows, you can't ever know the truth. That's like a massive cop out. Because then you don't have to inquire. Either way, if you think you know, you're stuck in that eternalism. There's no inquiry possible. You know the truth. You can teach people the one true way by which alone we can be saved, and blah, blah. And it's all concepts. It's all solidified. There's no room to breathe. Trungpa Rinpoche talks about Vajra hell. You could actually end up in Vajra hell, where you're in a room that's completely full of books. And being in a room completely full of books, as you might have noticed at the ashram, is where me, my sister, my niece, and most people in my family are happy. But we like to be in a room with books on the walls that also has a door and windows, and we can also like take the book off the shelf and put it back on, and it's nice. But if you are in a room that's so completely full of books that you can hardly breathe and you're all like hemmed in by the books, you can't even read one. I think that's how an image he gave of Vajra hell, which is when you are so stuck in the eternalism and there's all this knowledge and it's got so fixed and you think you know. At the other end, it seems like I remember Dzogchen Ponlop Rinpoche said, you Westerners don't ever need to worry about nihilism because you are such severe eternalists. You really think you exist and you can't get out of it. But I think there's also a kind of a cop-out nihilism. I don't know. Nobody knows. Then you don't need to inquire. You don't need to bother. Nobody could ever know it, so why bother about it? Just have fun. I do not think I know it well. I do not know. I don't know it. Whoever of us knows it, and doesn't know. I don't know it. It is thought of by the one to whom it is unthought. The one by whom it's thought of, he doesn't know. It is not understood by the understanders. It is understood by those who do not understand. You can only think of Brahman by knowing you can't think Brahman. The mind cannot know its source. And that's that place you come to in the deepest depths of meditation. When you somehow get it, that it's thinking you can't think it. You can't think of it. You're being thought. It is thought by the one to whom it is unthought. If once you're thinking about it, you're caught in concepts. It is not understood by the understanders, by the people who have it all laid out. I understand it. It is understood by those who do not understand. That's having that fresh, inquiring beginner mind, awake in every moment to the mystery, to the wonder, to the not knowing, like the Christian mystical practice, the cloud of unknowing. When we sit in the cloud of unknowing, that's the beauty. That's where we sit, touching that which thinks you, touching that by which you are known, but which you cannot know. It is thought of when it is realized by awakening to it. That's how you find immortality. It is when you become immortal, because you become immortal the moment you are no longer that which dies. The moment you are no longer identified with that which dies, automatically you are immortal. It is thought of when it is realized by awakening to it. So one finds immortality. Through Atman, through the self, one finds power. Through wisdom, through jnana, one finds immortality. If here one has known it, it is truth. If here one has not known it, great destruction. This is what is meant by the word vanity, the old use of the word vanity that we see in the Bible, like in the King James Bible, means BS. It's just it's vanity as in emptiness. It's not vanity as in primping. So when it says vanity of vanities, all is vanity. It doesn't mean you're primping in front of the mirror, although you might be caught up in primping in front of the mirror because you still think you're that which dies. I just got a wrinkle, or I just got a gray hair. But vanity of vanities, all is vanity, means it's that great destruction. You are all caught up in the impermanent, the ephemeral, that which is devoid of any real existence. And you go through life like that. And it's a great destruction because you just wasted your chance. Don't waste the chance. Oh, sisters, oh, brothers, don't waste this precious human birth on idle pleasures and futile cares. Fame and wealth mean nothing when you die. You can't take with you even one needle. This life will vanish like a dream, or like the stars before the rising sun. Nobody knows when death will come, so take the holy name while you can, and do a little kindness every day. Yes, do a little kindness every day. My basic message: take the holy name, be that Om, be that Ram, be that Ma. Take the holy name while you can. Do a little kindness every day. Uh, don't waste this precious human birth. It's become a great destruction. The wise discern it in every being, and when they leave this world, become immortal. The wise discern it in every being. Like it says in Srimad Bhagavatam in the Bhagavata Purana, it is completely useless to worship the deity in the temple if you cannot see the deity in every being you meet. The wise discern it in every being, and when they leave this world, become immortal because they are no longer identified with that which dies. Are there any questions or thoughts? Questions, thoughts, or comments?
Well, thank you.
The Upanishads, the best. Okay then.
Thank you for tuning in to Ayurveda and Spirituality with Alakananda Ma. We hope today's exploration has ignited a spark of curiosity and insight within you. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a 5-star review and share it with a friend. For more enlightening discussions and practical wisdom on Ayurveda and spirituality, subscribe and join our Facebook group, Alundi Ayurveda. To allow us to continue sharing valuable content, consider donating to Alundi Ashram. The links will be in the show notes. Until next time, may you walk the path of Ayurveda with grace and embrace the light of spiritual wisdom in your journey.
Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivadano